Yo guys, what is going on? Got a Gallantmon red deck profile for you guys for the EX2 format. I am super excited to finally put this deck together. It is so much fun. Gallantmon is definitely one of my favorite Digimon, definitely my favorite Royal Knight. So if you're a big fan of Gallant Crimson Mode Evolution line in general, as well as the Tamer Takato, you will absolutely love this deck. Lots of board control, lots of crazy shenanigans. So let's go ahead and get into it. So for the Digi-Eggs, playing 4 copies of Digimon as well as 1 copy of Gurimon. I think 5 eggs important just because there's a lot of control decks running around. Gigimon is definitely the best one. This lets you draw one, trigger draw one once per turn when attacking. Whenever you're swinging with a Gyomon, Growlmon, or Gallantmon, or a Digimon that has those in its names. So this definitely, I think, is a lot better than something like Koromon, unfortunately, because Koromon's only Greymons, not like Greymons and Agumons. So this is a little bit better when you want to draw early on in the game, as well as with your Gyomon. The promo Gyomon lets you draw 2 off of that. So really, really nice stuff for the rookies here. Just playing 12 Gyomon. So first of all, 4 copies of the EX2 Searcher Gyomon. This guy on play reveals the top 4 cards of the deck, and then lets you take any Growlmon, Gallant, and a Takato as well. So potential +2 searches the Tamer, that's really important to your deck, as well as any of the level 4s, 5s, or 6s in the deck. So lots of good consistency happening there. So definitely want to max out on that card. And then for the other Gyomons, again, helps with consistency, but of course gives you a win condition as well. I think this is probably the best Gyomon. I would play like 12 of this if I could. 4 of the Warp started at Gyomon. So of course, now you can not only take advantage of the Warp effect, but also the once per turn when an opponent's Digimon is deleted, draw 1. So that is really, really nice to help with consistency. Helps you draw through your deck. And then, of course, the Warp helps you punish opponent's boards. For example, like the Imperial board, this warping into a Gallant is like a single card out to that entire board. And I'll kind of talk about that later. But this being able to warp, and then if you're a 4 potentially, you can either blitz, and then maybe if you delete something, go back to 0, you can blitz, or if you're at more than 4, you can warp and then go into Crimson mode immediately afterwards. So there's a lot of really crazy potential with this little guy. And then lastly, for the other rookie, playing 4 copies of the promo Gyomon. Now, I know a lot of people aren't a big fan of this card, especially because this isn't a set control deck, because this is a full-on like Evolution 1 stack deck. However, this card is really, really important early on. If you've got this on top of your Digimon, you're triggering draw 1 from the egg as well as the Gyomon. So that's a turn 2 draw 2 cards is really, really good in terms of card advantage. And then you can always follow it up with like a promo, like the Gyomon Searcher or a Takato or a Memory Boost or something like that. So this card I think is really, really essential early on. If you draw it later, okay, it's just another level 3. But having the potential to just have a free pot of greed, I think is really broken in any deck. So then for the level 4s, playing 4 copies of the starter deck Growlmon. This guy on deletion, or whenever one of your opponent's Digimon is deleted, you get to just gain 1 memory. So this is really important for a lot of cards, not just the Gallantmons, but also stuff like Chimeramon. If you're hard evolving Chimeramon for 4, you can actually make it a 3 cost because this delete by DP reduction does count. So then you can go straight into a Gallantmon after that with a passing turn and then blitzing over something as well. So this is really, really good. And then being a 4 cost is relevant as well, because sometimes you are at 5 with your memory boost. So being able to play this and then make a Chimera, or like play this and then like Digivolve like a Growlmon or like a Rise Greymon or something is a pretty solid turn as well. So then for the other level 4s, playing the 4 copies of the Sec Attack +1 Greymon, I still think this is basically essential in any red deck. It's really, really powerful stuff. I'm not playing any of the other Growlmons. I'm not playing EX2 Growlmon. I think that card is really good for early on board removal, but I would rather have a card that lets me kill my opponent that much quicker, because you really want to like make 1 stack and then pressure your opponent and then follow it up with a Crimson mode or like a couple of Goonimons to end off the game. And speaking of that, 2 copies of Goonimon. This is still essential. I know you're trashing a lot of cards with Crimson mode. You don't necessarily need this, but it's just an extra swing. Sometimes if you've like check 2 and you've got a Crimson mode, you can Digivolve a Goonie, swing into the 3rd security, and then now that there are 2, you can go Crimson mode, trash 2 for game. So that comes up a lot, and then helping you make Chimeramon easier is pretty important as well. So that's it for the level 4s. For the level 5 Digimon, playing probably the best one here is 3 copies of Rise Greymon. So Rise Greymon helps you spit out Takato from your hand for free, and then the minus 2000 DP is really powerful in tandem with the Gallantmons and the Megidramon in the deck, because being able to delete a certain threshold and then -2 that threshold, this card essentially says just like plus 2000 to the DP threshold, which is why I'm not actually playing the EX2 War Growlmon, because this essentially is inherited, does the same thing but like better. And then for the other level 5s, playing 3 copies of Starter Deck War Growl and then 1 copy of Chimeramon. This War Growl, again, I just want to kill my opponent. This is plus Deck Attack will know one of your opponent's Digimons delete it. It's also Growlmon, so it's searchable by the Guillamon, and then you can also give it Blitz. So like turn 2, if you're trying to like kill some rookies or something, you can like move out your champion, Digivolve this, swing, draw off the egg, delete like a Vmon or something. So this is pretty nice as well. And then the Sec Attack, of course, is really important with stuff like Gallantmon, Megidramon, because you're always like blitzing, or ideally you're blitzing and then deleting their guys with it. And then the Chimeramon, just to make bigger stacks fix inherited effects. This is just generally good, as well as going for game every now and then. So that's it for the level 5s. And then for the level 6s, for the Gallantmon package, I'm playing 3 copies of the EX2 Gallantmon. So this guy is probably the best one. The only real downside is that he's a 4 cost, but you're not too worried about the cost because you do have access to the Blitz keyword in this deck. So during your turn, this Digimon gets plus 2000. I know, random, but it's really good. And then while you have a Red Tamer in play, add 2000 to the maximum DP you can choose with DP-based deletion effects. That includes himself, because his next effect is choose any number of your opponent's Digimon that add up to 6k or lower and delete them, but with his effect, his your turn effect, this makes it an 8000 deletion. It also, like I said, works really well with the Rise Greymon, because if you've got like they've got a 10,000 or a 10,000 total underneath on their field, you can like swing minus 2000 effect, delete AK or lower, and then you can also pair this with you can also pair this with the EX2 Guillamon. The Digimon has get Growl or Gallantmon in his name, delete something with 3000 or lower, but of course this Gallantmon makes that threshold 5000 or lower, so being able to pop a champion, really powerful as well. So then for the other Gallantmons, playing 2 copies of the Starter Deck Gallantmon, Sec Attack +1, and then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with 4000 or less. Of course with Rise Greymon, that's essentially 6k or less, or if you have this Gallantmon, that's 8000 or less, so you're really in a good position if you establish this one early, followed up with a Sec Attack +1, and then he gains 3000 DP if you don't delete anything, and then of course has Sec Attack +1, and then with the Growlmon plus the Greymon, that's potentially 4 checks right there if you do delete something. So this one really important. I also think he's really powerful because he's a 3 evolution cost. You don't always have access to red memory boost, so if you've without passing turn, if you do something like evolve into a Gallantmon and then go into Crimson mode on top of that, that can win you games just straight up. So that's really important. And then the one of Megidramon, I think Megidramon is really good in this deck. Being able to get value off his own deletion against some of the slower matchups is really important. When Digivolving, you get to delete something with the 10,000 or more, and of course if you got this, it's 12,000 or more, but usually you're like, the best case scenario you have 2 megas, but of course that doesn't always happen. You're usually only making 1 stack at a time. So on deletion, you get to then play a Guillamon and a Takato from your hand or trash without paying their memory cost. So that helps you unload the Takatos, it helps you recur, maybe Takatos in the Black or Greymon matchup, or Guillamons hit off security, or that died early on, maybe something like your promo Guillamon that you swung to with earlier, drew a couple cards, and then you can bring it back off the deletion, or bring back the Warp Growlmon, because a lot of times when, or the Warp Guillamon, because a lot of times when they out this card and it dies, they've got maybe a powerful Digimon on field, so then you can Warp and just answer their board immediately. So this guy I think is really good. Another cool interaction you can do again with Rise Greymon is if you've got Takato on field, Takato gets 1 Digivolving Blitz, so you can resolve the 1 deletion, or sorry, the 10,000 or lower deletion effect and the Blitz in either order. So let's say if you do Blitz first, you get to Blitz, attack, then when attacking triggers after after that. So when you have a tamer in play, you can minus 2,000 something. So since this is a news trigger, you do this first, so then minus 2,000 something, and then you get to kill something with 10,000 or lower. So that essentially makes it, if you got Rise Greymon, again, making a 12,000 or lower threshold. So being able to just out level 6 is really, really crazy. So that's it for the level 6s. And then lastly, for the other Digimon, just playing 2 copies of Gallantmon Crimson mode. So this guy is probably my favorite level 7 in this game. When Digivolving, just clear the board of all opponents' Digimon with the highest DP. So this is a spread effect. Sometimes if people don't play around it, maybe they got double Imperial or like 2 copies of any Digimon on the field or anything with the same DP, this is really, really powerful against that. But of course, that's not even the real reason why you play this card. The main reason is because you get to trash the top card of your opponent's security stack when attacking, and then add 1 to the number of cards trashed by this effect for every 10 cards in your opponent's trash. So if they've got 10 cards in trash, which is usually the most likely scenario, a lot of games are going pretty fast if you're playing something like Armor Rush or Imperial. If they've got 10 in trash, you swing with this and trash 2 cards from their security. And of course, if they only have 2 security cards left, you're basically going for game there, because if you're trashing 2, this declares a direct attack with no blockers, you win the game. So this is really just to win the game with. I don't think you need more than 2, though 3 could be nice, but I think it's a little bit bricky. This is also searchable off of the Guillemon, so I think 2 is definitely fine for this deck. And of course, the best thing about this card is being able to give it Blitz with your 4 copies of Takato Matsuki. Takato is a really, really essential combo piece in the deck. Being able to give all of your Gallantmons and Growlmon's Blitz is really important, especially with Crimson mode, because you're typically not ever going to evolve this for 6 and swing in the same turn. But if you've got Blitz, it doesn't matter how much memory your opponent gives you. If you're finishing off the game, you Digi-evolve this and then Blitz, trash their security, and end the game. And then, of course, being able to gain the memory on your opponent's Digimon's deletion is really nice as well. Being able to go back to 0 when you Digivolve, like, let's say, the Gallantmon for a cost of 3, or if you're Megidramoning, this essentially makes it a 4 cost instead of a 5, which is really nice because 5 is a lot to pay. So Takato, very, very essential in the deck, as well as the 3 copies of your Memory Tamer Hero. Hero makes the EX2 Gallantmon 16,000, which I think is a very big threshold. It makes Megidramon 15,000. Just helps you beat over big things. Really, really nice stuff there. And then lastly, for the option cards, playing 3 copies of Red Memory Boost for the consistency, 2 copies of Atomic Blasters to out Pyldramons and stuff, and then of course being able to add 2,000 to this, making it 10k or lower, is really, really crazy. A lot, especially against these spread decks as well. So this is mainly for the Imperial matchup. And then lastly, just 1 copy of Delicate Plan. I know you don't necessarily need this card because you are trashing security a lot of times, but this is still really important against the control matchups, against Yellow Hybrid, against Yellow Purple control, just to be able to close out games very, very safely. So 1 copy of Delicate Plan. But guys, that is going to do it for the deck profile. Let me know what you think down in the comments of the Gallantmon deck. I'm super excited to see what's more support we'll get BT9, as well as the next couple of sets. I know EX3 had some really cool Gallantmon leaks as well. But guys, that's going to do it for this one. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.